There is a great need to install both preventive and detective controls to minimize and possibly eliminate sharp practices at every stage in the procurement value chain. The Bureau of Public Procurement had since 2008 rolled out series of sensitization and training programs and workshops for public procurement officers, professional bodies, civil society organizations and NGOs, and indeed the general public, aimed at increasing public awareness and enlightenment on the public procurement law and code of conduct for procurement officers, as well as training and building capacity for other public officers involved in procurement. This campaign is still ongoing and yielding positive results, but must be sustained. However, there is still plenty of work to be done, and therefore, rather than continue to waste valuable time and efforts fighting over which profession executes procurement, it's time for the leadership of Nigerian professional bodies, including CIPS, to work together with the Bureau in its effort to build local capacity and promote professionalism and high standards of ethics and integrity in strategic procurement for Nigeria.
In the profession you are today, I'm not going to teach you how to do negotiation or contracting. No. We want to share views and see how we can be better people, better leaders, better procurement professionals. You will be challenged. You will be criticized. You will be persecuted if you really want to be a true supply chain professional. Because people will not like what you do. Because you are going to bring reforms, changes, you're going to put blockages into systems, and that's what I did at NNPC for 10 years. But guess what the good news for me? I retired in Shell voluntarily as the highest of the supply chain leader. I left Shell, for those who know, which is enviable, and I am pensionable, and then I got into my second job, and by the grace of God, by December, statutorily, I have a second pension. So God is kind. So I'll be earning my second pension end of December, and I'll gladly step aside. Now, again, what's important, we've been working on this profession for a long time. The privilege to attend a lot of institutions, Harvard, Wharton, Cranfield, Columbia, all of them. 2007, I was given a 5-year contract as an adjunct professor of supply chain in the University of Korea. And that's the university that Mandela attended, so proud of that. Most of the South African presidents was a premier black institution in South Africa, and we're taught to come there and teach supply chain. And of course, at home here, the National Public Procurement Act were a great contributor to that. I was, until very recently, a member of the board for NLNG Ship Management Company, a member of the board for West African Gas Limited, a member of the Regional Innovation Board for SAP Global, and the first man on the Black Earth, very first president of the institute all over the world. Why have I said all those things? What does it matter? I'm not looking for a job. I'm retiring. But what matters to me is to share with you that if you want to be an expert in this profession, you need to really work hard. You need to double your feet. You need to put aside whatever you learned at the university. That is the message. Put aside what you learned at the university. Embrace the profession. Embrace where you find yourself working. Know the business, learn the business, and speak the business language. My theme is leadership without boundaries. That was my theme, leadership without boundaries. And I'm so honored, by the Almighty God that I can share that example with you today. And I'm asking you to step into those kind of shoes. You all heard about Babs Omotowa. Babs was our colleague. Guess where I started his career from? He was a warehouse supervisor. I was the head of operations in Port Harcourt. I think, Pascal, you were head of procurement then. And our colleague, who's passed on now, was in Warri. And Babs worked like a deputy for us as warehouse assistant. That's how PAP started. Today is a global brand. These guys here, you don't know them very much. They are global brand in supply chain because they learn the trade, they learn the business. If supply chain puts you into the ministry, if you are working in the ministry, what I'd like you to do is to be a guru in public sector analysis, public sector strategy. That way you will make it to the C-suite. There is nothing that is happening in NMPC that I'm not opportune to be familiar with. Because guess what? They will drag you in. Oh, well, everybody's calling me. Okay, I want to spend the next 15 minutes before the end of this to share with you basically what the relevance of this profession is in these very difficult times. Three key things emerged during recession period as important to us as professionals. And these are that I'd like you to just simply hazard a guess. Who knows what? I think about 150 of them, top CP professionals, were interviewed in the UK. Those were considered the top level professionals. They were interviewed and they were asked, in this very challenging time, what are the three key things, or what top three things should we focus our energy on in managing the business? So let me divide the class into three, or the hall into three. From this boundary, 1, middle 2, 3. So I'd like to have 1 here, 1 here, 1 here. What? Just guess. Just guess. Anyone here? What would you say are the three emerging issues that will top the scale for you if you're a CP manager in these very difficult times? What topic would you say? Anyone there? Yes, ma'am. Supply review your supply. Okay, it's only one, I'm afraid. Okay, anyone from this? Yes, sir. You know you're a senior man. Let's go to the younger ones. Yes. Planning. Okay. Yes, sir. Sorry? Oh, cost reduction. Cost reduction. I like ladies. Let me hear from lady first. Cost reduction. Okay. So planning, cost reduction. Yes, sir.
Yeah, the most emerging is managing slavery in the supply chain.
Wonderful. Managing slavery. That's interesting. Okay. Okay. Yes. Value optimization. I like that word. Yes. Sustainable procurement. All right. This is what the result of the study said. It says, what are the, as I guess, so we all tried. Well, it's actually not 150. I made a mistake. It's 220 top CP professionals. 91% of them says it is cutting. Reduce cost. Just slice it down. 71% of CPOs says it is supply risk. And 45% of them claims skills and competencies. This is the one you should never allow to happen. Skills and competencies. If your people are not trained, you will get rubbish. Now, so skills and competencies, having qualified people, the risk of supply. What could be an emerging risk of supply? What could be an issue about risk of supply? Yeah? If you have a war between two countries, or there's something going on between a major producer and a major consumer, and that supply is cut off, the whole chain, value chain of that organization is completely down. So this is what the business says we should focus on as top 3 challenges in our business. And what it really does is it requires prudent supply chain strategies, tactics, and actions. But I'm going to move on very quickly to a set of okay. You will see that one of the things there says reduce reduce cost. The CFOs, the chief financial officers of organizations, have been having a very, very wonderful time. Because the value of the work we do in supply chain do not get to be seen at the highest level of organization. It is what the finance man does that gets seen, get visible, because it's in the C-suite. When they call for position papers, he's the one that will say, cut travels, cut staff meals, cut this, cut that. So with him, they get to know. But because most of the time our people tend to report to a body of knowledge that reports to the board, our positions are usually not seen. So what have the CFOs been currently up to? They've been putting financial house in order. They've been managing customer credit, which is very, very important. Cash flow management. They've been maxing cash position. We don't have cash now. We can borrow money from here. We can put money from here. They've been controlling working capital. Again, back to an MPC and the imbroglio. The issue that was on the, if you have read it, you see some of the things I talked about, raising fund for projects. It was a massive amount of money. Our chief financial officer played a very prominent role in that. And what we're looking for is, how can we fund projects successfully without taking money from government? How? And this is the shine these guys have taken from us there. They've taken a very big shine in controlling capital and maximizing cash position. They've been strengthening the balance sheet and insisting on cost cutting. So if you ask the financial officer of any organization, what is your contribution to sustainable development in the business to ensure business continuity, it will give you all these things. So the key question is what have we been up to? We must lead in this era of uncertainty. There's so much uncertainty in the place. We must focus on synchronicity. You got to put everything together and make sure that you form a whole. We must seek sustainable relationship, which I heard somebody said, and we must understand what the value chain is. How do you develop this? Vigilance financial checks, develop new formula to check liquidity. Again, part of the financial hemorrhage avoidance. In our own way, we must stick by suppliers who are the top level. If I ask you your organization, who are the people that consumes 80% of your funding? A lot of people may not know. Typically, empirical evidence have shown that not usually more than 10 vendors accounts for about 90% of your spend. So if you do a spend analysis of your organization, if you spend, for example, in the oil and gas industry, the annual spend is about, $3 to $4 billion, depending on capital investment approvals. Out of all that money, if you look at every company, you take the top 5, Total, Chevron, Shell, and probably Ajib. Each of these companies, the top 10 vendors accounts for 90% of the money. And if the top 10, let's come back home. How many people have done spend analysis in their own salary here before? I do that every month. I live my life on spreadsheet. Every month I have a standing spreadsheet. And I can tell you my top 3, top 4, top 10 spend every month of my life. So if you don't do that, you will not be able to manage it. You can only manage what you know. If you don't know your cost, you can never manage anything. So the message there is that really, if you're spending 10 billion naira, for example, in your organization, and 90% of that, 9 billion goes to 10 vendors. If you put those people together and manage them in a particular way, you will probably get about 20% reduction in your expenditure. That is the way we can put value back, in our business. So, concentrate on eliminating waste, not cutting costs. We tend to seek for reduction, look for negotiation, cut here, cut there. But the prime thing is to avoid the cost itself. Is to avoid, the waste that is inherent in our business processes. And what are they? Fragmented deals. We've talked about top 10 vendors now. A lot of people will say, I want to buy air conditioners. There's new one. There's a new one now that's cooler than LG, for example, and they rush into it without thinking about where do you get the spare parts from? What is the frequency of supply of that machine? When it breaks down, how are you sure that at your beck and call you can call the vendor and you can get a replacement part? It's not in the cost of acquisition, as you find out later on. It's actually, that's the tip of the iceberg. The many things that are inherent in the cost of the business is underneath the surface than what you see. So basically, again, here over specification, we are guilty of this in our own business. We specify, we color code, we always want things that are not necessary. So the question is it important? Is it necessary? Is it nice to have? most of the color coding are really basically around nice to have. You cannot be a supply chain guru without being commercially savvy. A lot of us are naive in our behaviors. We don't even speak out when we know the subject. When we know the answer, we're not very confident to speak out because we believe that the other fellow or the engineer or the quantity surveyor is more recognized in the organization more than you are. So you have to stand for yourself. And as I said, back to my introduction, you can only achieve this if you know the business that is on the table. Supplier compliance, right, and commitment. A lot of us, we do not really know the contracts. We do not understand the contracts that we sign with people. Once we sign that contract, we put it on the shelf, we say next. We become transactional in our approach. But again, empirical evidence have shown that over 42% of the total cost of contracting is in managing contracts. Why was I taken from Shell to come to an NPC? Is to go and help them establish supply chain. They never wanted to hear the word because every department had its own authority to award contracts. At the time we started, over 300 departments, over 300 contract awarding body. Yes, that's what it was. And it took 10 damn years to break that chain. And they said it will never happen. Oh, there are widows who come here whom we help. You don't want us to help widows again? Okay, it's not us now. But the Public Procurement Act is a super document. It was the only thing I held on to. That's what the law says. Align your people with strategic processes. Ensure you have supply chain management people who are qualitative. A lot of us are not qualitative. Create customer-focused environment. Create a central team to drive adoption of centralized common processes. A lot of our money is thrown away because processes are not common. If you are in Department A, they do things in a particular way. You come here, this is how we do things in our own culture. You go there, oh, we don't know about what you do, this is what we do. If you do that, there's just no way you can have a cohesive organization that will drive adoption of best procurement practice.
So bad, clients stop importing, containers stop coming, clearing stopped. So no change at all. It's been going down. And domestically as well, you have what is important every month. The logistics company, everything down.
From a public sector point of view, I'll say that staff welfare is not as great as it used to be, but it's not all bad. The federal government is now looking inwards and getting money from places where revenue has been lost. For instance, federal government is looking to get money in the health sector, financial sector, the taxes. So as bad as it was, it is good because
it also made you to realize that Nick resort is actually a very good place to spend your vacation rather than Florida. So, that is up, that is down. Some people smile, all of a sudden we realize that I can actually make my furniture from Abba or from that guy or from Chukudi or Yemi down the road rather than import it from Dubai. Somehow we became creative. I think in a way that is positive side.
I agree with that. I no longer buy apples from ShopRite.
Buy it on the road.
Buy from Nana on the road. Okay. So
that's why it's not one messaging across board. Different messages, different supply segments, different messages, different areas of spend. Remember, end of the day, it's about your survival, their survival. You kill them, you can survive. You need them, they need you. And just for me to close, there's no morality issue. It's our core responsibility and the way to keep them motivated. Plan, prepare. Do not focus on discounts. If you focus on discounts, you would get nothing. A depressed environment only makes our role challenging, but we'll have to do it. Thank you.